to introduce the reading. So, Junta.
Thank you so much, Helen. I really appreciate the introduction. And yeah, I myself have also been taking time to read the autobiography, this one, and also we have a new one from our co-founder, Dr. Hacha Hamoon as well. And it's just been so inspiring for me to read from their life example and to even just find clarity in today's circumstances. And both of them are so inspiring, both of the autobiographies. And especially as young people, I think we're always looking for examples to look up to in our lives for the kind of life that we want to live. And we forget that sometimes, they were young once as well. They were once our age and they had to manage school, work, relationships, and all of this while thinking about the future, right? And so that's why today we're actually going to be having just a short excerpt from this autobiography. And this is a chapter called A Knife Not Sharpened Grows Dull. And so this is talking about Reverend Moon when he was just 18 years old, just around our age or younger, right? And so I just wanted to read through this. This is just when he started to go to school in college. And
Oh, Jinta, your audio cut out for some reason. Oh.
Uh-oh. Okay. Did he go offline or?
Yeah, still can't hear you for some reason.
Hello?
Yep.
Yes.
Welcome back. Yes.
Nice. Okay. Could we go to the next slide, please? Nice. Okay. So yes, I returned to Hook-Suk-Dong in the 1980s and was surprised to find the house where I once lived still standing. The room where I lived and the courtyard where I used to hang my laundry were still there. I was sad to see, though, that the well where I had to blow on my hands while pulling up pails of water was gone. During my time in Hook-Suk-Dong, I adopted for myself the motto,
Oh, Jinta, you're cutting out again.
Hello?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back again.
Sorry about that. So during my time in Hook-Suk-Dong, I adopted for myself the motto,
Hello, Jinta.
hello?
Yeah, you're back.
All right. During my time in Hook-Suk-Dong, I adopted for myself the motto, before seeking to dominate the universe, first perfect your ability to dominate yourself. This means that to have the strength to save the nation and save the world, I first had to train my own body. I trained myself through prayer and meditation and through sports and exercise programs. As a thank you. As a result, I would not be swayed by hunger or any other emotion or desire of the physical body. Even when I ate a meal, I would say, Rice, I want you to become the fertilizer for the work that I am preparing myself to do. I learned boxing, soccer, and self-defense techniques. Because of this, although I have gained some weight since I was young, I still have the flexibility of a young person. I was very persistent in asking questions during class, and there were more than a few teachers who were stumped by my questions. For example, when we were learning a new formula in mathematics or physics class, I would ask, who made this formula? Please explain it to us step by step so that I can understand it exactly, and refuse to back down until I got clear answers. I was relentless with my teachers, digging deeper and deeper. I couldn't accept any principle in the world until I'd taken it apart and figured it out for myself. I found myself wishing I'd been the person to first discover such a beautiful formula. The stubborn character that had made me cry all night as a little boy was making its appearance in my studies as well. Just as when I prayed, I poured myself completely into my studies and invested my full sincerity and dedication. Any task we do requires sincerity and dedication, and not just for a day or two. It needs to be a continuous process. A knife used once and never sharpened turns dull. The same is true with sincerity and dedication. We need to continue our efforts on a daily basis with the thought that we are sharpening our blade daily. Whatever the task, if we continue the effort in this way, we eventually reach a mystical state. If you pick up a paintbrush and focus your sincerity and dedication on your hand and say to yourself, a great artist will come and help me, and concentrate your mind, you can create a wonderful painting that will inspire the world. Yes, so that's the reading. And yeah, again, I'm very grateful just to be able to hear these words from our founders, because I think, again, for any role models, sometimes we forget that they were once our age and had to work on things themselves to be able to reach to where they are today. And so from reading this, we can see that Reverend Moon really tried to develop a strong self-discipline, whether it was like through exercise or just even the kind of mindset that he tried to have even in the most like simple tasks, right? And all of it, he saw it as like a preparation to shape and mold who he's going to become in the future. And so even in the most mundane tasks, right? Like just like eating rice, he was thinking about how this can give him energy to do something greater. And so I think especially now, like I know we're in summer break, and of course, like, please take time to relax, recharge, do all of that. I think that's very important. But also I think it is a transitional time. And I think it's a time for us to reflect and think about kind of like what he's doing, how all these different areas in our lives, whether that's like school, work, our relationships, how all of that is preparing us to become the person that we want to be in the future, and how we can sharpen our knives right now so that we can prepare ourselves to become this person that we want to be. So with that said, I want to welcome up a bold, dedicated, a strong CARP leader, Erica Gordon. You guys all know her. She's amazing, and she has so much wisdom to share with us as well. And she's going to be sharing her testimony of how so far in this summer that she's been able to sharpen her knife. So let's welcome up Erica.
Woo! Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for coming to join us for this CARP summer event. It's been a really long time, so I'm really happy that I get to see all of you with us during this time. So Junta just said that I was going to share an experience that was this summer, but that's not what I prepared, so just be ready for that. It's not really a summer experience, but it's an experience that I felt like is not something I learned this summer, but I learned, I guess, like a year ago, and have been trying to practice till now. So I wanted to show a PowerPoint slide, if that's possible. So Helen. Yes, so we just finished reading an excerpt from our founder, Reverend Samyang Moon, and in that excerpt, he said that his life motto was this very quote that you see here, that before seeking to dominate the universe, first perfect your ability to dominate yourself. And this is like a really intense quote, right? Like, I don't know if I necessarily want to dominate the universe, right? And when I first read this quote, like my first understanding was like, oh, like in order to like succeed in life, you've got to get yourself together, right? Like you have to be organized, you have to get your health in check, You have to have clear goals for your career and what you want to do to be successful. Basically someone who's like got self-discipline down to a T, right? Like my first image of like this like self-disciplined God is like, you know, when you see like those Asian training videos of a dude going to the mountains and then meditating under like a waterfall. Like that was my first impression of like this quote. Yeah, but for me, when I first read this quote too, I was like, yeah, self-discipline. That's something that I want to embody too in my life. I see that as important in order to achieve a lot of things that we want in life. We need to, it requires this characteristic, right, of self-discipline, of doing what you say you're going to do, controlling your bodily desires, right? So a couple years ago, yeah, I guess I would say a couple years ago in my life, I felt like I was doing everything right. Like I'm putting quotes there because obviously it wasn't, but I felt I was doing everything right. Like I feel as a person, I'm pretty organized and I set goals for myself in terms of school or things I want to accomplish. And when I felt like I was slipping up, like I would do things like waking up early and going and doing like exercise or anyway, all these things we do, right, when we feel like we're in a funk. And even though I felt like I was doing all these things right, I was so busy, right? I was so busy doing all these things on my checklist, my to-do lists were always so long. And I was checking off things on my to-do list every day. But even though I was being so productive, even though I felt like I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing, I felt so burnt out. And I believe that a lot of us have experienced the same feeling, where you're so busy and you're doing everything you can. And at the time, I thought like I knew what I wanted for my life, but in reality, I was really unhappy. Even though I was so busy and I was being so productive, I wasn't happy. And so, just like a year ago, yeah, you can change the slide, Helen. Yes, I heard this story and I really resonated with this kind of, not a fable, but it's just like this short story that someone was giving me to give an analogy, and I really resonated with it a lot. So the story is about a woodcutter or lumberjack, whatever you want to call someone who cuts wood, right? A woodcutter. And he had a boss, and his job, right, of course, is to go out with his axe and cut trees, right? Cut logs of wood. And so the first day he goes out, right, he's ready, his first day on the job, he's ready to cut down those trees. And he's chopping down all these trees, and he comes back to his boss and he's like, I cut down 20 trees. Very proud of himself. He worked hard all day and he did his best and brought as much result as he could. And the next day he goes out, works the like same amount of hours, but this time he only comes back with like 17 trees. And then the next day he goes out and he cuts down trees, and he's only able to bring back this time like 13 trees. And so then the woodcutter goes to his boss and he's like, you know, like I feel like I'm working really hard. Like I'm going out every day and I'm putting in the same amount of effort, even more effort it feels like, to cut down these trees, but I feel like I'm bringing less result every time I go out. And the boss was like, did you take the time to sharpen your axe? And then the woodcutter is like, no, I'm too busy. Don't you see? I'm working so hard cutting down these trees. And then like it hit me. I was like, whoa, like I'm like this woodcutter. I haven't taken the time to sharpen my axe. If the woodcutter had just taken like 5-10 minutes to sharpen his axe every night before he went out, he would still have been able to bring back the same amount of result or even more. But he was so caught up in his job and and that he was too busy, right, to sharpen his axe. He was like, I'm working so hard, I'm so busy, can't you see? He was like trying to justify himself, right? And that's, I think, a lot of us too, that we get so busy and doing all these things, and we're bringing less result, or we've lost our purpose for why we're doing things. And so I really related to this because it felt like I was working just as hard or even more, but I wasn't gaining the same fulfillment that I would usually out of the things I do in my life. Because I feel like I do school for a very high purpose. I want to help people with what I study, or even with CARP. There was a time where I was really burnt out doing CARP, even though it's such a beautiful thing that we do in sharing about these principles and about world peace. But I wasn't taking this time to sharpen my axe before I go out to do all the activities I have in my day. So we can go to the next slide. So what's my axe, do you say, right? And I realized that I had a very, I guess, a narrow view of what self-discipline meant. That self-discipline was just denying my body. Like if I'm tired, I should just deny it and continue to work hard past my limitations. And there's some argument there, right? Like when you exercise, you want to gain muscle, you have to push past your limitations, right? That's how you gain muscle. That's how you get stronger. Or if you like are really craving ice cream at midnight, right? You're like, nope, I can't do it, right? That was my concept of self-discipline. But I realized the self-discipline that I really needed to work on to give my life fulfillment and to bring purpose and clarity to my life was actually self-discipline of my heart, the training of my heart. That actually the discipline of having a positive mindset or a grateful heart or a loving heart is actually takes a lot of discipline, actually. Just as much discipline as it takes to like wake up early in the morning or going to exercise. We have to have discipline of our own heart, right? And so this is, I guess, yes, like a year and a half ago, where I was like, I had this realization. I was like, okay, Erica, what am I going to do to sharpen my axe? What am I going to do so I can go back out there in life and really feel fulfillment through what I do? And so what I did was I decided to work on writing a vision statement for the way I wanted to live my life. And so this is like really personal to me. So I was like really, conflicted of sharing it, because this is how I want to live my life. So obviously yours is going to be different. This is mine that I have a different one now for this semester, but every semester I write a new one. This was the first one I wrote, and it's like an essay, right? Like your vision statement could be a sentence, right? Like you want to live a grateful life, but this is something I worked on for like a week. But after I wrote it, I decided that I would read it at the beginning of my day, before starting my day, before getting onto my to-do list, to remind myself like with what purpose or heart I want to have with everything that comes to me in life. So I was determined that I was not just going to react to what life gives me, but that I was going to intentionally respond to whatever life gives me, whether that's challenges or great, joyful things. Yes, I'm going to read it, and it's going to make me cringe reading it out loud. But it's something that was really meaningful for me, and I hope that it inspires you to think about what kind of life do you want to live according to whatever, right? Your vision statement will be very different. I am a very, my faith means a lot to me, so that's why it's very much in my vision statement. Yours could be totally different. But mine is, at the end of my life, I want to be known for being a great mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend. I'm obviously not a mom or wife yet, but I'm thinking future, right? Life will always throw me curveballs, stress, self-doubt, etc. But I never want to drop the ball on the people God entrusted me to love, nurture, guide, and believe in. In order to give my best self to the world, I take care of my mind, body, and spirit as not my own, but as God's gift. I see and surrender to God's hand in molding my love to be like the ocean, deep, but also vast enough to embrace anyone. I sometimes make mistakes and I fall short, but I own up to it with integrity, repentance, and a touch of God's grace. God has given me life and blessed me with the ownership to create a life I love. I repay this gift with clear purpose and who I want to become every day. Erica, when you stand true to God, yourself, and others, your true beauty shines through. So I spent a lot of time working on this, and it really changed my life. Even though like what the actions I did in my life didn't change, right? I still went to school, I still did my volunteer work, whatever I was doing. This totally changed it because I was living up to the person I want to be. This was my self-discipline of heart, who I chose, how I wanted to respond to the things in my life, how I want to treat the people in my life. And it really made such a difference. So this was for me the time I needed to really sharpen my axe to go back out into life. And I really feel that when we were reading the excerpt that he was talking about, like sincerity and devotion, or sincerity and dedication, like those are things you need to consistently practice or else it'll grow dull. And so I felt that to be really true in my own life. Yes, so that is my testimony. Yeah. Yes, thank you, everyone. So I believe we have discussion questions, and then we'll go into that. Yes.
Thank you, Erica. Let's give her a round of applause and woo.
Woo! Good.
Yes, thank you so much for really being vulnerable with us, as you said, and actually sharing something so precious, so beautiful. I feel like this is more valuable than, all the money in the world to hear something so precious. And yeah, I hope it can maybe if you guys, it was making me think like integrating this vision statement with career, with, we're all in school right now, right? We're all trying to shape our path. So I feel like this is very, very important for how we can be constantly, going in the right direction. And yes, so now, yes, we'll be able to maybe share about what you guys felt or thought about from the reading. A knife not sharpened grows dull, from Erica's testimony. So we'll just have some catch up. How's your summer been? What stood out to you? And on this third question, really, what lifelong habit, skill, or endeavor do you want to invest more sincerity and devotion into? So yes, we can think about that, and as we